And yes, you will grow and be more personally fulfilled. And that's a good thing. Instead of worshiping at the altar of martyrism, where we must suffer and be broken down versions of ourselves, can you feel the power of really tapping into your core dreams, goals, and desires, being inspired, excited, and motivated? Then employing devotion into your discipline, infusing it into your discipline to change life for the better. As you become stronger and more resilient and full of inspiration and vitality, you will show up to your friends, family, and community as the permission slip for them to be able to rise to the occasion themselves. Motivation and discipline have different purposes. In this episode, you will learn the anatomy as well as how to leverage both motivation and discipline, as well as how to apply devotion to catalyze and fortify your discipline to reach your goals faster and with sustaining results. When you know what roles each of these have and how to leverage and engage with them, you will become unstoppable, my friend. Welcome to the Reframe, where fear is brave. Here, you learn tools, techniques, and strategies to get back in the driver's seat of your own life. I am your host, Rebecca Mohlman, trauma therapist turned podcaster and course creator. There is a lot to cover, so grab something to take some notes with and let's dive in. How many times have you had the desire to start something, to change something about yourself, or simply have a spectacular idea you want to see come to fruition? More than you can count is going to be my guess. And oftentimes, that dream, goal, or desire seems to fall to the wayside or disappear altogether behind the distractions or daily obligations that jockey for your time and attention. Understanding the difference between motivation and discipline are key to give you a leg up in reaching your goals, dreams, and desires. And even more powerful is the art of devotion, which takes your process of change and transformation to a whole new level. So, first, let's look at the difference between the anatomy of motivation and discipline and their unique qualities so you can learn how to leverage and optimize both of them. Motivation is that initial spark, that burst of energy or enthusiasm that propels you to taking action on a new idea, dream, or desire. When you lock in on something that you want and you feel like it is within your ability to attain it. So, how do you build and maintain motivation? Get really clear on what your goal is, down to as much detail as you can. Having a clearly defined goal is foundational to being able to actually reaching it. Once you have gotten clear on as much detail as possible about this goal, you can employ something called future visualization to keep your excitement and enthusiasm up, as well as shorten the time frame of reaching your goal. There is a lot of evidence showing that visualizing the outcome of a goal mentally, physically, as well as emotionally experiencing it as if it has already happened provides a blueprint of sorts, shortening the time it takes to reach that goal and sometimes reach that goal at all. You see this used quite a bit in professional sports, and it's also used in different types of therapy to bring about healing and change much faster. An important way to help maintain motivation is to curate a core why. When you know down to your bones, down to your core, why you are doing what you're doing, then you're able to lean into this when things start to get difficult for you. The stronger and more detailed your core why is, the more you have to lean on when you just don't want to keep going. This is an example of an intrinsic motivator, something intimately linked to your own personal passions, purpose, personal values, and desires. External motivators are like rewards or recognition, and they have their place and can be incorporated to maintain motivation. However, intrinsic motivators are much better at sustaining a long term commitment. Okay, so we have two more key aspects to help maintain motivation. Then we're going to dive into the anatomy of discipline and the key strategies to leverage discipline. But stick around to the end because that is where I share the secret sauce and jet fuel that will help make discipline a walk in the park and much more meaningful. Accountability and support plays a big part in continued motivation or even jump starting our motivation after we feel like we've lost it. We are much more likely to give up on ourselves than on others' expectations of us. So use this to your advantage. Find a group of people who are working on similar goals as you are. This helps to hold you accountable. And the process of celebrating other people's wins brings camaraderie, inspiration, and will reignite your own personal commitment. Especially over the last couple of years, there's this belief that we're meant to do hard things alone. And this has become more ingrained and almost idealized. However, science and study after study show that individuals that are part of a group that is supportive and working towards similar goals increases one's likelihood of actually meeting those goals and the sustained change that is desired. Along the same lines of accountability is actually tracking your progress. We oftentimes underestimate and, in some cases, overestimate the amount of work or progress that is actually happening. Tracking your progress daily and then reviewing what you have actually done and the gains that you have made, then actively celebrating the process is very important. It gives you a little dopamine hit and it ties it to the hard work that you've been doing. And it makes it more likely that you will continue to put in the effort. It is pairing your hard work with that feel good experience. If you have a supportive network, share your progress with them. And their support and excitement will have an even greater effect of pairing that dopamine feel good response with the hard work that you are putting in. Discipline, on the other hand, is the consistent effort and commitment to doing what needs to be done, even when motivation wanes. Understanding some of the anatomy of discipline will help give you the framework needed to effectively use some of the simple but powerful techniques I'm going to share with you to condition and grow that muscle of discipline. Let's take a look at the anatomy of discipline. An important aspect is self control. Self control is the ability to manage your impulses and emotions, particularly when they may lead you away from your desired actions. Now, this one is a hard one for a lot of people these days, with easy consumption and quick gratification at our fingertips. You name it, food being delivered to our door at the click of a button, dopamine saturation from social media, and all of the other things that come with the convenience and comfort seeking culture. To develop more self control, it is important to become aware of your underlying urges. Mindfulness plays a practical role in becoming more aware of your thoughts, emotions, and impulses as they arise. This process will give you a window to choose the response that most aligns with your goals, dreams, and desires. A great book for beginning to work with this is Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. You can also play with delayed gratification to strengthen this self control muscle. Instead of habitually reaching for an activity that is inherently distracting or numbing, take a moment to acknowledge the urge and maybe do something intentionally different to start breaking the litany of indulgent and avoidant behaviors we have become so accustomed to. Now we're going to look at consistency. Discipline thrives on consistency, which is just regular, deliberate action moving towards your goals. To help structure consistency, have your week and your day planned out to incorporate these new habits and routines that are important to reach your goal. Anytime that we engage in a new habit or pattern, it will oftentimes come with resistance or friction. If you can anticipate that, then you can be ready for that resistance when it presents itself and you won't be caught off guard. Try Mel Robbins' 5 second rule to get you in motion with the chosen activity. Just count backwards from 5 to 1 and then move your body. The longer you give your mind to talk you out of what you've decided you want to do, and it will try, the less likely you are going to be to engage in that activity because it's something new and your body's going to resist against it. You can also try a jingle or cognitive affirmation. I've covered this in a recent podcast, so I will make sure to put that link to that podcast below, where we dive a little bit deeper into specifically cognitive affirmations. Now, accountability is a powerful motivator for maintaining discipline. We covered this a little bit already, but just as a reminder, accountability is a needle mover for most people. Either personally track your progress using a list, an app, or a journal, or share your goals and action steps with a supportive community to keep you on track. Time management is an important component to discipline as well, and this can be harder for some than others. Track the time you spend doing things during the day and just notice how much time you might be taking up with activities that don't really serve the person that you desire to be. A good example of this is just track how much time you spend on screens every day. How could you better reallocate this time? When you carve out time for activities that will move you in the direction of your goals, dreams, and desires, it is important to be uncompromising and actually do it. Where I see most people trip up in this process is that they allocate actually too much time and it becomes unrealistic based on their schedule. And instead of shortening the time they dedicate to the chosen activity, they forgo it altogether. Resilience and perseverance are cornerstone to sustained discipline. This requires you to bounce back from setbacks and maintain your commitment in the face of challenges. Some things that you can employ to strengthen resilience and perseverance is to develop a growth mindset, viewing obstacles as opportunities for learning and growing, maintaining a realistically positive attitude, and instead of feeling frustrated at the setbacks, harness a sense of excitement and hit it harder with more dedication next time. We are our own worst enemies, guys. Change your relationship with the hard things, and you will change your relationship with yourself and become truly unstoppable. The last thing I want to say about discipline is it requires flexibility and adaptability. Discipline is not rigid, guys. It involves the ability to adapt to a changing environment or circumstances while still staying committed to your goals. This could look like not making it to the gym one morning because of something unexpected that came up, say a sick kiddo at home. But then you were able to fit the workout in at lunch, after work, or even at home when there was just a little bit of downtime. Life isn't a setback. Your inflexibility to adapt to life while still staying committed to your goals is the setback. Now, here's the key point, guys. Motivation alone is unreliable. It's fleeting and it can't be counted on for sustained long term progress. You may feel highly motivated one day and then completely drained and unmotivated the next. However, you can harness the excitement and enthusiasm of motivation and use that to forge a strong core why. Then you practice and condition the inherent qualities of discipline that are being driven by the excitement and the enthusiasm embedded in that core why. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades away. And now for the rocket fuel to give your core why purpose and your disciplined action much deeper meaning. This is where the magic and alchemy really come alive. This is where discipline becomes devotion and motivation activates a higher calling and purpose. When you look at the etymology of the word devotion, it comes from devotium. I think I'm saying that right. It indicates dedication by vow, sacrifice of oneself, and promising solemnly. If you see motivation as the inspiration and discipline as the trained fortitude to make something manifest, in my perspective, devotion is your deep commitment to something. To be devoted requires that it is something that you deeply value and are connected to. This oftentimes comes in the form of something outside of yourself, which mirrors the sacrifice of oneself mentioned a moment ago in the etymology. Instead of leveraging your personal egos and desires, and you shift it towards the service of those that you love, your community, a greater good, or a larger purpose. And obviously, this can come in many different forms. But when you start to break past the initial personal gains attached to your goal, dream, or desire, and you fuel your core why, with a commitment to something that is deeply meaningful to you, that uplifts those around you, your community, or a greater purpose, then you have literally tapped into a channel of unshakable commitment. And yes, ultimately service. And this, my friends, absolutely changes everything. Your discipline changes from I have to I get to. It's my honor and my privilege to. The resistance is still on some level going to be there. However, because it is leveraged in a greater common good, it will go from a 100,000 pound weight to the resistance becoming more of a whisper, something much more manageable to work with. You are much more willing and, dare I say, excited to put in the time, effort, and sacrifice. And yes, you will grow and be more personally fulfilled. And that's a good thing. Instead of worshiping at the altar of martyrism, where we must suffer and be broken down versions of ourselves, can you feel the power of really tapping into your core dreams, goals, and desires, being inspired, excited, and motivated? Then employing devotion into your discipline, infusing it into your discipline to change life for the better. As you become stronger and more resilient and full of inspiration and vitality, you will show up to your friends, family, and community as the permission slip for them to be able to rise to the occasion themselves. If we are going to change the world, it requires that we all start with ourselves. And my friends, we are not meant to do this alone. We are built for community and connection. I hope that understanding the anatomy of motivation and discipline a little bit better has helped, as well as infusing devotion as the jet fuel to completely change the experience you have on the journey to meet those goals, dreams, and desires. Because as we are able to feel stronger, more centered, connected, and inspired, we open the door for those around us to do the same. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please leave a review and share on your social media, or share this episode with someone that you know would benefit from hearing or watching this. It helps bring this content to more people that need to hear it the most. And as always, may you be the change you desire to see in the world.